we going to have a recession in the United States?
As I said on Monday in a talk that I gave at the New York Economic Club, I think we're very close, if not in a recession now.
BlackRock CEO Larry Fink is once again sounding the alarm bells. A recession is coming. A recession may be here, in fact. Make sure you watch today's whole video, as I have a lot that I need to share with you today.
Currently, we are seeing the exchange balances of Bitcoin being the lowest, I think, going back to 2018. The balances for Bitcoin on exchange have never been this low.
This is Larry Fink's warning to all investors. Yes, we need to recalibrate.
Yes, we have to recalibrate. Yes, I do believe we're probably starting, if not, we're in a recession. Yes, I think the market is still underestimating how high inflation can get. If you factor in all the tariffs,
right?
You factor in all these other issues, it's going to be quite additive. I mean, I read in a report that if you just take the tariffs in the cost of home building, the average new home could be up as much as 26%. We already have a housing affordability problem.
None of this sounds any good to me, Larry. I mean, and it's all self-inflicted, by the way. None of it needed to happen.
This is not a pandemic. This is not a financial crisis. This is something that we've created.
Now, the good part is, Larry Fink says that out of BlackRock's $11 trillion worth of clientele, they have never had so many clients reach out to them asking how to navigate through this and allocate through this.
To me, this is an opportunity to look for opportunities. And because of all our clients having uncertainty, we are spending more time with more conversation with more clients globally than any time. Our job now is to be, helping, calming, giving them ideas. I do believe, as I said in my talk this morning, yes, I do believe the mega trends are still with us.
It is a verifiable fact that BlackRock is actively pushing their clients to buy Bitcoin.
I was with a sovereign wealth fund. That was the conversation. Should we have a 2% allocation? Should we have a 5% allocation? If everybody adopted that conversation, it would be 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 per Bitcoin.
And Larry Fink has always said Bitcoin is made for times like this.
I believe Bitcoin is legitimate. I believe it is an instrument that you invest in when you're more frightened, though. It is an instrument when you believe that countries are debasing their currency, debasing their currency by excess deficits, and some countries are. I believe we have countries where you're frightened of your everyday existence, and if you have an opportunity to invest in something that is outside your country's control, then you can have more financial control. And so I'm a major believer that there is a role for Bitcoin in portfolios. I believe you're going to see that as one of the asset classes that we all look at. I look at it as digital gold, as I said before, and I do believe there's a real need for everyone to look at it as one alternative to, I would say, the optimism that I have in the world. If you want to hedge hope, Bitcoin is not an instrument for hope unless you're hopeful you're going to make a lot of money on it. But I look at it as a vehicle in which you're expressing your financial acumen in something that you're more frightened of the world, you're more frightened of your existence. And I believe there's a great industrial use for it. And I think a lot of people are missing that.
I couldn't agree more. I changed my mind about it when you did.
Now, the good news is, despite the fact that we're in peak fear, peak despair, talks of going much lower, talks of a recession, this is historically and psychologically a great time to buy quality. In fact, Fundstrat's global head of technical strategy says that there's a lot of reason to think that although new all-time highs won't come tomorrow, there's a lot of reason to think that the stock market has largely already bottomed. Interesting analysis here.
Mark Newton, Fundstrat global head of technical strategy. And one of the things we've talked about, Mark, is regardless of whether we try to put Humpty Dumpty back together right now, is there underlying damage that's been done, or is this all kind of within the realm of what happens when you see a break in the markets and it starts healing itself?
Look, I think there has been quite a bit of damage in the last 7-8 weeks. However, equities have pulled back to an area that is quite important. We have seen evidence of now volume dispersion that's been pretty significant, along with just breadth really being washed out in recent weeks. So there is some evidence that equities have in fact made a bottom and or in a bottoming process. Now, that doesn't mean that we move straight back to the highs. I think it's going to be a 2 steps forward, 1 step back type process, or really an L-shaped stock market probably for the next 30 to 60 days. So a lot of volatility. That's not going away anytime soon. But there are at least some technical reasons to think that markets have stabilized in the short run and can try to work a little bit better in the weeks and the months to come.
Like what?
Can I just ask real quickly, when you say an L-shaped market performance from here, you mean we've already drawn the first line of the L, the downside, and now we're going to bounce around, not that there's another down leg to come before we get there?
Yeah, we've seen some pretty severe deterioration, obviously, and now I think we likely could go sideways for probably another 1 or 2 months before starting a larger rally.
So 1 to 2 months of sideways action before starting a larger rally, possibly breaking all-time highs. Hey, Mark, head of technical strategy, what are these signs that you're seeing that tells you that the market has bottomed and now we're stabilizing? I love the final prediction he makes at the end. Listen.
We've seen signs of technology really starting to stabilize this past week. One of the biggest moves in Mag 7 off the lows. That's very encouraging. This morning's evidence of bank earnings is also very encouraging for the financial sector at a time when everybody thought they would come in poor. So I think, financials is the second largest sector, of course, within the S&P, technology being the first. And, a lot of the pessimism and sentiment with all this money moving all of a sudden from the U.S. abroad, I think is really ill-timed. We've actually seen the U.S. outperform over the last week over Europe and also out of Asia. Most of the world seems to be catching up at the time when the U.S. is finally starting to stabilize. We're going to see rates start to come down really in the months to come.
Rate cuts are coming. Many people are saying the Fed will need to cut rates. And remember, Fundstrat is still predicting Bitcoin hits $150,000 this year, if not much higher. Here's founder Tom Lee.
Fed and central banks are easing, QT's ending. I think that with positive Washington sort of tailwinds means I think Bitcoin can do well to the end of the year. I think it's still 150 or higher as possible. Okay. I know it doesn't feel like it, but once we get through this tariff and that agenda around tariffs, markets can look forward to things that could be positive.
I think most people are missing this. 12 billion assets under management. Bitwise, their leadership, has confirmed that Bitcoin is being drained from exchanges. So when this market comes back, Bitcoin's price will jump quickly and rally hard. Most people aren't savvy enough to do this research or seek out this research. Make sure you subscribe to Altcoin Daily. We are one of the few who regularly shares with you this kind of info.
The illiquid supply. So currently we are seeing the on-exchange balances of Bitcoin being the lowest, I think, going back to 2018. So this is like going back for many, many years now. The balances for Bitcoin on exchange have never been this low. And what that signals is that there's a lack of sellers on the market. So people will move from cold storage to exchange when they're ready to sell their Bitcoin. And if the exchanges are showing low balances, that means that we have few sellers in the market, and that will be come into play and become very interesting once there is a rise and the buyers come back into the market for Bitcoin. My prediction, and of course I don't have a crystal ball and I don't know, and this isn't investment advice, but my feeling is that when it does start to move back up again, it's going to jump because there simply aren't any sellers. And if people are bidding and trying to buy and there aren't sellers in the market, they're going to just keep offering higher and higher prices to buy the Bitcoin that they want, and so I expect that it'll gap up quite significantly when it does start to rise again in the future.
Make sure you subscribe to Altcoin Daily for daily videos keeping you informed on everything crypto. Turn notifications on so you can be the first to comment and your comments can rise to the top. Use our BitUnex affiliate link to trade crypto, no KYC. This is my favorite exchange to do leverage trading. This one is one of the best. Make sure you use our affiliate link and start trading with us.